Welcome to another episode of The Culture Coach. Do you know what? This week, I just want to talk about the hidden dangers of being too nice. Or I suppose of being in any way nice. And that's kind of, how does it hinder you? And actually, more importantly, how does it hinder those you aim to help? Especially if you're leading an organisation where you're trying to create a culture that encourages growth and personal development. So, while niceness is, typically viewed as a commendable trait, it can often be counterproductive when it's used excessively. And when niceness transforms into a compulsive need to please, it can inadvertently hinder the very individuals you aim to support. This is particularly true when the drive to be nice stems from a desire for your own approval rather than genuine kindness. One major downside of excessive niceness is that it can create dependency. When you constantly offer help, even when it's not needed, it may discourage others from trying to tackle challenges on their own. They might come to rely on your assistance rather than developing their own problem-solving skills. Now, this dependency not only hampers their own personal growth, but also prevents them from building confidence and even resilience. By stepping in too frequently for them, you can risk sending the message that they're incapable of managing on their own, which will lead to undermining their self-esteem. And moreover, excessive niceness can lead to a lack of authenticity in any kind of relationship. When the focus is on maintaining peace and being liked, rather than being sincere and honest and open and upfront, it will result in superficial interactions. And then people may well begin to question your intentions or the authenticity of your support. Now, a lack of transparency like that can, and often does, erode trust, which is crucial in any meaningful relationship, whether that's a personal one or a work one. Without genuine, open, honest communication, the individuals you're trying to help and develop may not truly feel understood or supported. Additionally, considering always prioritising niceness over honest feedback will hinder growth. You need constructive criticism. You need it to be delivered with compassion, yes, and kindness and respect, but you need constructive criticism. And it's an essential part of helping others to learn and improve, and for your own development. Excessive niceness will lead to a reluctance to address those issues or provide the necessary feedback, and it will stagnate progress in any organisation and create missed opportunities for development. That kind of avoidance of conflict, so if you're going around avoiding conflict all the time or difficult conversation, will prevent not only others from receiving the guidance that they need to grow, but it will prevent you from growing as well. Look, here's the issues with being overly nice. Number one, lack of authenticity. While being kind is generally a positive attribute, being overly nice can sometimes lead to unforeseen issues in both personal and professional relationships. A major concern of that lack of authenticity that accompanies overly nice behaviour is the often deep-seated desire to be liked by everyone, which causes individuals to prioritise approval over genuine, meaningful interactions. As a result, interactions can become superficial, and true emotions and opinions are deliberately pushed down, suppressed, to maintain a facade of agreeableness. Yeah. When individuals constantly push those feelings aside, they risk creating a disconnect between who they are and how they present themselves. that incongruence can be exhausting for them, and it leaves a little, well, very little room for the expression of themselves. People around those kind of people around you, if you're acting like that, they're going to start to sense insincerity, which is going to erode the trust and weaken your relationships with them, especially in an organisation. Authenticity is key to building strong, resilient connections. People need to know where they stand. They need to know what is going on. And when it's compromised, it can lead to misunderstandings and conflicts. Moreover, being overly nice may discourage others from providing honest feedback and sharing their genuine thoughts with you. They might fear that it might upset the balance of pleasantries. Let's put it that way. And that's going to stifle growth and prevent the development of deep, meaningful ties in the organisation. In essence, well, the intention of being nice may be to create harmony. It's crucial to balance that niceness with kindness and authenticity to foster trust and understanding in relationships, which means you need to be open and truthful. The second reason it can be harmful is it creates dependency. So being nice often involves an excessive amount of accommodating behaviour. I just want to point out, when I say being nice, I don't mean being kind and considerate. Being kind, considerate and compassionate is an absolute key essential. Being nice is when you're just trying to get people to like you. That's what I mean by nice, right? When you consistently step in, solve problems or even quietly accept underperformance, you're going to find that others start relying on you to do everything. And they start relying on you more and more rather than develop their own abilities to be able to do to solve a problem. That kind of dependency is limiting for the individuals, for the organisation, and for you. And while your intentions may well be rooted in goodwill and support, taking on too much yourself or taking on responsibilities for others' tasks and challenges can hinder their ability to cultivate essential skills. It can hinder their ability to create their own independence within the organisation. And over time, that kind of dynamic will stunt all personal growth and diminish confidence and reduce performance even more. So it causes people to, instead of learning from their mistakes or taking the initiative, they become passive. They wait for you to resolve the issues. They wait for you to fix them when they could have done it themselves. And that kind of cycle of dependency can impact over time your relationship with those people to the point where instead of being seen as a mentor or a collaborator, you're perceived as a crutch, as somebody who's going to do everything for them. It becomes a parent-child relationship. It becomes ineffective. And let's be honest, it will create a culture that is going to hold your organisation back. And it will end up with you doing more and more work and shouldering more and more of the emotional situation. So the key to encouraging autonomy while offering support is not being nice. It's about being kind and compassionate. It's about people knowing exactly how they're performing. And that's it's crucial. Okay, and if you do it, it's going to empower others to build their own capabilities and confidence and maintain healthy, balanced relationships. The third reason that being overly nice, or just being nice for the sake of being nice, can be detrimental is it avoids necessary conflict. Conflict is inevitable in life. It's inevitable in all relationships. It's inevitable in all societies. It's inevitable in all civilizations. Conflict is necessary. And when conflict is ignored for too long, it becomes a fight. Because it will happen. And, look, avoiding confrontation is a common trait amongst most people, especially those who prioritise being nice, by those who want to ensure that they're liked, by those that want to maintain harmony at all times, at all costs. This approach, though, it's going to have detrimental effects on both types of relationships: personal, professional, business, you name it. And in most situations, constructive criticism and honest feedback are going to be crucial for individual and collective growth and improvement. And you've got to do it. When the desire to be perceived as being nice and being the nice guy overshadows your need for direct communication, it's going to lead to avoiding those necessary conversations about feedback, about performance. Good or bad performance needs a conversation. Good performance needs to be rewarded, and underperformance needs to be tackled. And choosing to be nice rather than genuinely kind and compassionate. And genuinely kind and compassionate means you want people to improve, which means if they're not performing, you have to tell them. Otherwise, they're not going to improve. That's a fact. It will result in you withholding important information. It'll mean that you fail to provide that necessary feedback. And that's effectively denying them the opportunity to learn from their mistakes. And it's denying them the ability or the opportunity to achieve their own potential. And that's going to lead to a stagnant culture. It's going to lead to a stagnant environment where individuals are not challenged or encouraged to grow. And consistently avoiding confrontation will again ruin the communication, and it will create underlying tensions that will lead to others questioning your sincerity and your reliability. And it's people know when you're not being fully open with them, and again they don't know where they stand. I would say it's a skill, and it's difficult, I know, but you need to balance kindness with honesty, and that's the only way you're going to foster the development that you need within your organisation. It's the only way you're going to build healthy, authentic interactions with others. You need to embrace constructive, compassionate feedback, because that's the way that you will create an environment where everyone feels valued, understood, and motivated to enhance their skills. It's also going to create unsustainable expectations. Okay, when you're going out of your way to be excessively nice, it sets a precedent that contributes to unsustainable, I can't even say the word today, expectations. Over time, others are going to anticipate this level of attention and support in all interactions, assuming that it's the norm rather than an exception. This creates a dynamic where any deviation from the pattern can lead to disappointment in others, in you, and surprise, and that's key. Being overly nice because you want other people to like you will eventually lead to them not liking you. When people become accustomed to that kind of treatment, they develop a sense of entitlement. Think about that. A sense of entitlement comes from people being overly nice to people. We get it in society when people are overly nice to other people, where nobody can be offended. And they've got a sense of entitlement that they shouldn't be offended. And that leads them to believing that they're inherently worthy of that continual level of you doing everything for them. It's a perception that can make implementing even minor changes almost impossible. And if you get to that point, any attempt to adjust the behaviour will be met often with high levels of resistance or even just confusion on their part. That kind of imbalance places a massive strain on an organisation, and it can make the person who's trying to be overly nice feel overwhelmed and unappreciated, and they feel trapped by the expectations that they've unintentionally fostered, and they were only trying to be nice after all. But that leads to stress, it leads to resentment and burnout eventually. By the way, that's the number one cause for business closure in the UK. 250,000 businesses closed their doors. Of the 250,000, 25,000 filed for bankruptcy or went into liquidation or administration. That means 225,000 just went, I've had enough. That kind of pressure those kind of high standards are unsustainable in the long run, and they will ultimately jeopardize the quality and the authenticity of your leadership. You need to address those expectations openly. You need to set clear, healthy boundaries and promote a balanced, mutually satisfying cultural dynamic. Because otherwise you're going to end up with emotional burnout. Prioritizing niceness to others, making sure that other people like you, being a people pleaser over personal boundaries often results in that emotional burnout. A state where one's emotional resources are thoroughly depleted. Continually putting others' needs ahead of your own is going to end up being draining. We all know that. It requires constant emotional availability and effort. Over time, this can lead to a profound sense of fatigue and feeling overwhelmed. It makes you feel just put on. It makes it difficult to engage. It's a relentless need to maintain that kind of persona will overshadow your own personal needs, and that makes it difficult for you to interact with others. It causes a disconnection from your own emotions and your own priorities. Without clear personal boundaries, you're going to feel pressured to keep up the facade of being always helpful and accommodating. That pressure can increase your stress levels, and it diminishes your capacity to cope with your own daily challenges. Now, ultimately, that reduces the ability of you to offer genuine support in situations where it's truly needed, and that in turn ruins your culture, and that in turn ruins your business, and that in turn ruins your performance. The kind of lack of self-care that leads to, people end up with things like anxiety, they're irritable, it even leads to depression. If you want to prevent that kind of emotional burnout, it's crucial to recognise the importance of setting those healthy boundaries that we mentioned and acknowledging your own personal limitations. That way, you can be more effective in your interactions with others. So finding a balance. How do we find a balance then to help others? Well, finding a balance between being nice and genuinely helping others begins with embracing your own authenticity. Genuine relationships thrive on honesty and transparency. By encouraging open communication, open dialogue, and sharing your true thoughts and feelings, you can foster an environment of trust and respect. It's essential to understand that being authentically kind and compassionate involves more than simply pleasing others. It means having the courage to tell people what they need to hear, rather than just what they want to hear. And that approach lays the foundations for more meaningful connections as friends and colleagues come to appreciate your candour and integrity. If you struggle with this, read Radical Candour by Kim Scott. It's a fantastic book and it will help you do it, but it is essential. In practice, embracing authenticity involves active listening and empathy, recognising the emotions and perspective of others while remaining true to your own values. It means being willing to engage in difficult conversations when necessary. Not every day, just when necessary. Offering constructive feedback, delivered with care, compassion and understanding. And then by balancing that kindness with honesty, you can help others grow. You can help them become healthier themselves, more resilient, more able to deal with the stress of the day-to-day of the workplace. And that kind of, when you practice that self-reflection and mindfulness to ensure that your actions align with your core values and beliefs, the alignment strengthens your own sense of self and encourages those around you to approach their interactions with a similar level of sincerity and respect. It also promotes independence. Finding the right balance between being nice and promoting independence involves empowering others while being supportive when you're needed. When you encourage someone to tackle challenges on their own, you're not only helping them build necessary skills, you're also boosting their confidence. Start by assessing their current abilities and gradually introduce tasks that stretch their capabilities. This way you're fostering an environment that encourages growth without overwhelming them. It's essential to offer assistance without overshadowing their independence. Be available to provide guidance, resources if needed, or advice if you're asked. But refrain from micromanaging or stepping in too quickly. This balance helps them feel valued and supported in their journey, which is crucial for building their own self-reliance. You need to communicate openly about their progress. You need to provide constructive feedback while celebrating what they have managed to achieve. That positive reinforcement builds on their motivation and their confidence. And then you need to further encourage them to solve problems independently. Make it clear that seeking help is not a failure, but a part of learning. You need to reduce their fear or hesitation in asking for support when truly needed. And if I could just do that to more people around the world, I'd be a very happy person. Asking for help is not a failure, it's a strength. When you promote their independence with a supportive approach, you're not just being kind, you're equipping them with the skills and self-assurance to thrive on their own. Constructive feedback, by the way, is absolutely critical. Balancing niceness with effective assistance significantly involves the art of delivering constructive feedback. And constructive feedback is a valuable tool for promoting growth. Without it, we cannot grow. Yeah, it needs to be handled delicately to maintain a positive and respectful environment. The key lies in presenting the feedback with honesty, kindness, compassion, and respect. But you need to provide the feedback. And when you do provide that feedback thoughtfully, you can create opportunities for them to recognise areas for improvement themselves, paving the way for their own personal and professional development. By focusing on specific behaviours or actions rather than personal attributes, so things that actually they've done rather than how they did it, which keeps the feedback objective. Start with positive comments to build a constructive dialogue, and then guide the conversation towards areas that need improvement. By framing the feedback as an opportunity for enhancement rather than criticism, you have the opportunity to encourage their acceptance and help them be more open to change. The other thing to do is maintain a compassionate tone. You need to recognise that everyone has unique strengths and weaknesses. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's got development areas. You need to offer actionable things they can actually do, actionable suggestions to help them understand how they can improve. And then you need to follow up with encouragement and support throughout that journey. Don't just tell them what they need to do and send them off into the distance. This way you promote a culture of continuous growth and learning. And that requires consistent reinforcement of that approach. You have to keep doing it. If you help others embrace feedback as a part of their journey, you strike the balance between being kind and genuinely aiding in their growth, and you make it a part of the culture. So if I had to sum this up, I'd say, look, being nice is generally seen as being positive. It can, though, have unintended, really bad negative consequences for those that you're trying to help. You need to strike a balance between kindness and compassion. And you need to promote independence. And you need to don't shy away from necessary conflicts. You have to, sometimes you have to negotiate conflict. To align that kindness with effectiveness, it's important to develop a balanced approach. Offer support, offer encouragement, but also empower others by encouraging their independence and resilience. Engage in honest conversations about their performance, good or bad, and provide thoughtful feedback that fosters improvement. This way you can demonstrate genuine consideration for their development, genuine consideration for them. And it creates a supportive environment that builds a culture of long-term growth for all the people in the organisation. Being genuinely supportive means understanding the importance of tough love. It involves encouraging self-reliance, fostering real, authentic relationships, and embracing the necessity of honest feedback. Striking that balance requires mindfulness and intentionality, but ultimately leads to healthier, more productive interactions and a healthier, more productive culture. So I'd be interested to know, have you have you observed in others situations where being overly nice has backfired? And how do you balance kindness with assertiveness in your interactions? Thank you for listening. I've been Andy Walter, the Culture Coach, and I look forward to talking to you again.